Hi, this is David EZZY. We're going to go through the rigging of the Zeta. First thing, try not to let your sail flap in the wind. If you crease the sailcloth, you shorten the life of it. The other thing that kills sailcloth is sunlight. And after 300 hours of total UV, the film will start getting brittle, and then those creases will actually become break points. So when you roll your sail out, try not to let it crease, and when you slide your mast in. Okay, when you slide your mast in, start with your mast in two pieces and open up the Velcro of the pad. And a little trick I have is I push the mast to the back of the boom cutout. See how I'm doing that to clear. Join the mast. Now, when you slide the mast in, I'd rather you didn't hold on to the pad. I'm always worried about it possibly tearing here, even though it is sewn very strongly. It's better to pick up the tack of the sail, push it against your knee, and then just slide the mast in. You can rotate the mast. Now, you've got to walk up to the top to make sure that the mast is thoroughly into the head plug. And the best way to check that is just pull back on the mast plug, and then you'll feel it go in. To determine how much extension, look on the tack of the sail, and the extension is given from a light wind setting to a high wind setting. So in this case it's 18 to 20. And in light wind, you'd set it to 18, and strong wind, you set it to 20. You can also check your extension, because sometimes the numbers are wrong on your extension, or you may have an old extension and the numbers are faded away. So what we're measuring is from the top of the collar, where the mast will sit, down to the lowest position that you can downhaul your sail to. So you can see my extension is set at 20, but really it's 21. Okay, for threading the pulley, there are instructions inside the pad, and it shows for threading a Chinook style extension on one side, and the other side it shows threading a streamline type extension, that is where the pulleys are in line. So for the Chinook extension, start with the pulley that's closest to the mast and go under it. Under. Then go to the upper pulley on your extension and go under it. So we're under. Then go to the far pulley and go over it. Then the remaining pulley on the extension, go over. Now come up through the center, make sure your line's not crossed. And then into your cleat. Notice that there's no crosses on any of the lines. Now if you do cross your lines, the sail will still work. It'll be harder to downhaul because you'll be dealing with the friction of the cross lines. Plus, cross lines tend to want to twist the pulley. And so when you twist the pulley, the bottom of the sail sits a little asymmetrical. So try and thread it like this so there's no crosses. Now we're going to downhaul the sail until the medium mark of the gauge lines up with the bottom of the mast. That's for medium wind. If it's super strong wind, I'll downhaul so that the maximum line lines up with the bottom of the mast, and for really, really light wind, I'll do the min 2 line to the bottom of the mast. But in this case, we'll do the medium to the bottom of the mast. And I always find it's best to over downhaul it and then bring it back where you can see it, and then just release it slowly until you get to medium. After downhauling and before you store your line, tension your tack strap. Now the tack strap is important because it redistributes the load back onto the bottom of the sail. You'll notice that the sail is cut in to allow for the pulley. If we didn't cut the sail in, then the pulley would extend further down, your sail would be higher off the deck of your board. So when we cut the sail up, the bottom of the sail gets less tension because the tension line goes from where the cut is on the pulley. So the tack strap puts the tension back onto the edge of the sail. See how without the tack strap tight, the sail kind of falls off here and the edge of the foot's a bit loose. So we're going to wrap the tack strap and then tension it. Tension the tack strap until you see a little crease in here. And now when you look at the foot, it's not falling off on the edge. It's a nice straight line. Okay, after tensioning the tack strap, take the tail of it, wrap it around your extension, and go under itself, and then back onto the Velcro on the back side. Take your line, just go one time around the mast and roll it up and stick it in the mesh pocket. So the reason that we do the line last is that if we want to adjust or readjust our downhaul when we're sailing, we can do it easily without having to touch the tack strap. Now we'll close the pad up. Generally, you want to leave the bottom of the pad open until you have your universal in. That's your boom. Before we set the outhaul, just make sure that the battens are pushed down as opposed to up like that. They should all be curved down, and just push them down on the mast. For setting your outhaul, there's 3 cords that we sew at the clew of the sail. They indicate how much positive outhaul the sail will require. The longest cord for high wind, the middle cord for medium wind, the short cord for light wind. To use these cords, just set the boom on your thigh, and we're going to set to the medium. Just without pulling the sail, just slide your boom in until the cord touches the end of your boom, and then set your boom. Just outhaul the sail until it comes right to the end of the boom. We're going to look at the high wind and the light wind settings. For high wind, we're going to downhaul until the maximum mark lines up with the bottom of the mast. After downhauling to the maximum line, you'll notice that the clew is moved out, so we'll have to lengthen the boom at least 1 or 2 holes. In this case, we'll go 2 holes. Check it with the string. Come to the end of the boom. Now we outhaul to the end of the boom. The general rule with the Zeta for your high wind setting is don't over downhaul. So use the gauge at the bottom to set your downhaul, but don't go beyond maximum. And then keep outhauling until you don't have any backhand pressure. So if you feel backhand pressure, apply more outhaul. That flattens the sail and moves the draft further forward. Now, for the light wind setting, it's very important that you adjust your outhaul and your downhaul together. So I want to show you the light wind setting. First thing I'll do is I'll just release the outhaul. We're going to take it to, let's go right to min 2, which is the light wind setting. Okay, so min 2 lines up with the bottom of the mast. When you go to min 2, you could also lower your extension 1 or possibly even 2 holes. In this case, I'm going to leave it, but I could lower it 2 holes. This is interesting to note that we reduce the downhaul to min 2 from the maximum, and the boom is still set at maximum. And you can see how much the clew is moved in just by releasing the downhaul. This shows why it is important to adjust the downhaul and the outhaul together. If we left the downhaul and we just reduced the outhaul, the sail would get deep, but it would be more draft back. It wouldn't pull forward. So by releasing the downhaul, we've moved the draft forward, and that's why this clew is moved over. So we're going to now adjust the boom in for the short cord. Okay, so the boom is right at the end of the cord. And then we're going to outhaul until the sail hits the end of the boom. One of the unique features about the Zeta is it can be flown very full and still feel good. And right now we have it set to the min 2 downhaul, which is the light wind setting, and the light wind outhaul. And you can see at this setting that there's full rotation around the mast with the battens. So the sail is extremely deep. The Zeta does not set up with a super loose leech. Right now we have the sail set to medium downhaul and medium outhaul, and you can see that there's very little looseness. The maximum looseness is in the head, but really the leech is not super floppy. I want to explain how these dots relate to your rigging. When you're rigging with the correct mast combination, you'll ignore them and you'll only use the downhaul gauge for setting your downhaul. If you're not on the first choice mast or you're using another brand mast, then you're going to use the dots. I'm going to go through how to use the dots now, but the dots have no relevance when the sail is outhauled. They're only to set the gauge when the sail has no outhaul. So we're going to go through that right now. If you're using a non-EZZY mast or not the first choice mast, you're going to have to set the calibration gauge, and you're going to use the dots that are printed on the upper leech. First thing you're going to do is make sure your sail has no outhaul. You can have the boom on or off, it doesn't matter. For setting the downhaul for a non-EZZY mast or non-first choice mast, you're going to use the 4 dots that are printed on the upper leech. No outhaul in the sail. You're going to downhaul the sail until you get the looseness on the leech just to the dots. Once you have the looseness to the dots, that's your medium setting. You're going to remove the gauge and set it so that the medium mark lines up with the bottom of the mast. So going forward, now when you rig, all you have to do is look at the downhaul gauge. You can ignore the dots. So the dots, really you're just going to use the first time you rig. After that, just use the gauge. We've already rigged and tensioned the battens for your sail in the factory, but over time the pockets may stretch just a little bit, and you might need, after the first time sailing, to retension your battens. First thing is get the key that's stored in the pad. The objective when we tension the battens is just to eliminate the slight wrinkles on either side of the pocket. We're not looking to take the wrinkles at the luff end of the pocket out, because that's caused just from the curve of the batten and the inside material sort of puckering up. I'm referring to this. That's never coming out with batten tension. The best way is to back the batten tension off until you see little wrinkles beside the pocket. So back the batten tension off just until you see the wrinkles, and then tension the batten just until the wrinkles are gone, no more. What you're going to find is that the batten tension relates to the depth of the sail. So a batten that has more curve will take more tension. So the foot batten probably takes the most tension. The batten above the boom is second. So again, I'm going to back it off till I see the wrinkles and then tension it. Keep going up the sail, back it off, tension it. For the head batten, it's hard to see the wrinkles. If you support the sail from the end and kind of let the batten bend, you can see them better, and you just tension it until it gets smooth. One thing with the head batten is there is a little bubble that's supposed to be there below the batten, and of course you're not going to get that out with batten tension. When we de-rig, we want to make sure, just like when we were rigging, that we don't crease the sail. So we want the sail to lay on the ground, not be up and flapping, because right on the ground there's no wind, and up high, of course, we're in the wind. First thing, release the outhaul completely. Next, take the tack strap off, and you're going to undo the tack strap completely because you're going to use it to hold the sail together when you roll it. So take it off completely. Release your downhaul completely. Take the boom off. Now, here's a little trick. Instead of creasing the sail to get the mast out, just spin the mast. Look, I don't even have a hand on the sail, and I'm just spinning it. And see, I'm getting the mast out without creasing the sail. Keep spinning it. And the mast came apart, but that's okay because it's right at the boom cutout. You can just slide the top out. Now we're going to roll the sail. We're going to keep it on the ground. When you roll the sail, squeeze the head quite hard and then relax it as soon as you get the head onto the X-ply. And roll it parallel to the battens. If you get to a batten and you're not quite parallel, you can just pull the core a little bit. When you're done, put your hand inside the core, just spin it a little bit to tighten it. Then you're going to tuck the pad, take the tack strap, wrap it around the pad and the sail, just put a half turn in the tack strap back onto the Velcro. Now, when you store your sail, you want to make sure that you store it vertically on the sleeve. That way you don't damage the sail because the sleeve is soft and flexible. If you store it vertically on the clew, then you will cause creases at the end of the patch and X-film interface, and eventually the sail could break. When you put the sail in the bag, put sleeve end first. And if you're going to store your sail vertically, make sure the sleeve is down.